Hello, hello, how are you? I am back again and today I want to do a 10-year review of a Michael Kors tote bag. Now, before we get started and before I show you the bag, I do want to just point out that first of all, this bag has been well used and well loved, and it has carried around quite heavy things. And not only that, but these bags, they're not cheap, but they're also not super high end. They're kind of that mid-range, affordable luxury, premium designer, high streety kind of, that grey area, you know, that kind of area that like Kate Spade sits in. But I would argue that Kate Spade is possibly better quality, just my personal opinion. But yeah, it's not super high end, but it's also not super cheap. So I just want to put it out there before I show you. So yeah, 10 years, 10 years. I cannot believe I am so old and I have been buying designer handbags for so long that I have bags that are literally 10 plus years old. Anyway, let me show you the bag. Here it is. So this is a classic Michael Kors tote bag. I think the inspiration, we can all agree, is the Louis Vuitton Never Full. It's got that coated canvas with the leather trim. And yeah, it's that classic tote bag style bag. However, I would say it is looking a little bit worse for wear. Mainly the handles. The handles, they're not faring very well. They are so raggedy. They are hanging on literally by a thread, and they are pretty distressed at this point. I haven't used this bag for a while because of the handles, because quite frankly, they're a little bit shameful. However, if I did want to use this bag in the future, I think what I would do would be to probably get a scarf and wrap it around the handles to try and disguise, because that is just not a cute look, I'm just saying. Anyway, handles aside, let's look at the bag. The coated canvas is wearing incredibly well. The hardware is looking pretty tarnished, but it's not too bad. It's not as bad as you might think it would be. It's okay. Like, the gold is wearing off a bit, but it's not that bad. It's not particularly gone orangey, copper coloured. It's not looking that silver. It's just a little bit tarnished. But to be honest, for 10 years, that's not too bad. Coated canvas, pretty good. The leather trim on the upper of the bag is pretty good. The branding of the Michael Kors, again, looking pretty good. The corners, a little bit scruffy. I don't know if you can see, but those corners are a little bit scruffy. There's a little bit more tarnishing to the bottom. You can see that's looking quite a bronzy, coppery colour, whereas the rest of the hardware is more of a gold tone, so that has taken a little bit more battering. Again, the corners over here, not too bad. Definitely got more wear on this side, but all in all, the base holding up quite well. And the coated canvas on the base looking pretty good. It really is just the corners that's not looking so good. There was a mark on the back, which I've obviously tried to get off, and it's just kind of like not looking very good. What else? Corners here, showing a little bit of wear. We've lost a little bit of leather here, but to be fair, 10 years, can't complain too much. And losing a little bit of the leather here. In terms of the inside, we've got some biro marks. Again, that's me, that's not their fault. And I don't think there's any holes or anything in the lining. The lining is looking pretty good. It's just grubby, which, to be honest, that's all me. That is all me. As for the zip, I'm pretty sure the zip is in pretty good working order. Let's just test it. Yep, the zip is fully working. It has not broken, which, again, I would say is good for 10 years. Yeah, like, the inside, not looking too bad. The inside has a kind of polyester branded lining. Apart from the fact that it's a bit dirty, there's no holes or anything going on with the lining. But yeah, it's a funny one. I'm actually really impressed with how it's holding up in some places, but I'm also really disappointed in how it's holding up in other places. The hardware definitely isn't like super high end. It's not as good as Coach. Definitely the Coach hardware is much better. I would say the Coach leather is much better as well. Where it has kind of come away, it's come away and made it look a bit plasticky and cheap. I would also say the handle, major drawback. If you are thinking about buying a Michael Kors tote bag, I would actually say in general they're quite hard wearing, except the handle. The handle is disproportionately worn out compared to the bag. So if you are thinking about buying a Michael Kors tote bag, I would say be very careful not to overstuff it and put in anything too heavy, because while the straps in general, the straps and the edges and the base always take more battering, I do think that the straps have really not held up well. So I would say if you're going to buy one, be very careful not to overstuff it. Don't use it for like too many books. Don't use it maybe for university. And maybe, yeah, just be a little bit careful not to weigh it down too much, because that is obviously quite the weak point of this bag. The leather is okay. It is like, it's not the best leather. It is a bit cheap. Has worn away at the corners quite badly. The zip is actually pretty good quality. The lining of the bag, again, I'm quite impressed with. Apart from the dirt, which is all my fault, you can't complain. And then the edges and the hardware, actually not looking too bad, especially for the amount of use, which you can tell it has been used a lot. But the edges and the hardware are actually looking pretty good. It's not the best hardware in the world, but it's definitely not the worst. The hardware actually smells okay. Sometimes hardware can smell quite tinny and metallic, which is really off-putting, but this actually doesn't. But you can hear it sounds a bit tinny, and it does look, it's not looking good, it's looking a bit cheap. Yeah, and then the branding across the top, to be fair, has held out pretty well. All in all, I would say it's not bad. Like, it's not bad. It has been well used. If this was a Louis Vuitton bag, I would expect it to be looking a lot better, but you are spending like 3 times the amount if you're buying a Louis Vuitton bag. I think a Coach bag wears a lot better than a Michael Kors bag. I actually think a Kate Spade bag wears a lot better than a Michael Kors bag. However, there are certain elements of this bag that I'm like, do you know what? To be fair, it's held up well. But I would say it's not got the strength, especially in the straps, to overstuff it. So do be very careful if you are thinking about buying one. What am I going to do with this bag now? Probably never wear it again. Let's be real. If I was to, I would definitely be trying to disguise the handles, because I think the handles make it look fake, which it is not, by the way, just so you know. But yeah, the handles do make it look a bit fake because they are so badly worn, especially compared to the rest of the bag. But yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's not worn well considering the price tag, but at the same time, it's worn better than most high street bags would, and it's worn a lot worse than bags which are a lot more expensive. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you get what you pay for. But I am in some ways quite impressed. Like, that coated canvas has lasted really well. Coated canvas in general is a really strong material and lasts really well. So never be afraid to buy a coated canvas bag, because even though you feel like you're spending a lot on a non-leather bag, actually they are really strong and they're really durable. But then do be careful, because something like the leather straps might not be as strong and might not be as durable and actually make it age badly. But yeah, that is what a Michael Kors tote bag looks like after 10 years, a lot of use, and potentially being overstuffed with too many heavy things. So yeah, if you're buying one, do be careful, don't overstuff it. And this is what it will probably look like in 10 years. All in all, not bad. Like, it's not a bad investment. Definitely better than buying, you know, cheap high street bags. But at the same time, this isn't a cheap high street bag, so you would expect it to have lasted maybe a little bit better, especially on the handles. But yeah, that's my 10-year review. What do you think? Have you got a Michael Kors bag? Are you a fan? Do you think they're as good as Coach? Do you think they're as good as Kate Spade? Or do you think they're better? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.